Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
You know what? I made a mistake. There we go. This is baseball is dead. So there's, nope. Need blue lights. Green is section 10. Baseball. I honestly, I might just keep these, Jake. How do we feel about it?
I mean, I think it's going crazy right now.
Yeah. This is the Dallas Braden Fiesta lights. Yeah, I'm into that. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. This is great. Living the dream. You're missing out. Yeah, if you're only listening to this and you're not watching on YouTube, you're totally missing out on a Fiesta. It is Fiesta Thursday. Joseph's here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I happened to see your TikTok yesterday, which was brilliant, by the way. I mean, we thought when we went to Arizona that young Joseph was just venturing off, doing God knows what by himself. And instead, this man was creating content to make into a TikTok comparing the Dodgers and White Sox spring training facilities. It's well worth your watch. It is very glaring. It is eye-opening. It's sad, but also exciting at the same time. You go through a range of emotions because on one hand, you're like, man, baseball is so strong right now that you go to Dodger camp and these people are lining up hours before the gates even open. The cheapest ticket's $165. You got people roaming around just to catch a glimpse of a player that they might not even know, but they see the Dodger logo and they go crazy for the guy. And then you go to the White Sox camp and there's 15 people there. 11 of them are Dodgers fans who are just lost looking for a Dodger camp. And you can get, like, Joe, how you sat behind the dugout. How much did that ticket cost?
Well, my ticket wasn't behind the dugout. That it's just I just sat there because no one was gonna say anything.
Yeah.
For spring training, you can basically sit wherever you want. That's the hack of spring training.
Yeah.
Unless to the Dodgers game, it's a little harder because if there's a ton of people there. But I tried to do that at the Dodgers game too and got kicked out above the dugout.
Yeah.
But the A's White Sox games, they were chill. $13 for tickets for that seat.
$13.
But I would say, honestly, when it comes to comparing Dodgers camp to White Sox camp, I don't really see it as really that much of an indictment on the White Sox in the way that I feel like that's kind of how spring training is supposed to feel. I mean, that was a 1:00 game on a fucking Monday or Tuesday against the Athletics. Like, Dodgers camp was fucking insane. And I'm comparing like
Confirm.
A Friday night. What'd you say?
Confirm.
It was insane, right? And obviously they spent $1 billion. They got all the superstars, all the Japanese media. Like, it's a fucking frenzy. Thousands of people just to watch them practice. I wouldn't say the White Sox is really that depressing.
What do you mean?
The White Sox franchise, but the spring training facility?
Well,
like the way they operate, like isn't that what it kind of?
It's more so practice? Just like the contrast. Of just no one giving a fuck or being around.
Well, they're also like the same facility. That's really what hammers home the White Sox situation. Like, I agree with Joe. Like, most teams would be closer to that in those scenarios than what was going on at the Dodgers. But the fact that they are the same / adjacent facilities, and it's maybe the most extreme examples going on currently at spring training right now. Like, the Dodgers thing was an absolute party. It was unprecedented in the way, in the number of people that were there, in the different pockets of groups that were watching different things going on. And then you walk over to the White Sox and it's like literal tumbleweed, is going past on the sidewalk. It's tough optically, even if, Joe's point that it's not like that extreme of a situation relative to most other MLB teams is valid.
I think White Sox, obviously, terrible position. They have no good players. Like, I think the funniest part, or like the most, was like
the team store. Yeah.
Where there's just no one's names on the jerseys because it's like there's no one to have. Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah.
You got Luis Robert.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, man, they're just they're trying their best. They're trying their best. in Chicago. And it's funny because a lot of people say, well, they're in like Chicago, like, LA is like right down the road, when the Cubs actually do better attendance, I believe, even this year than the Dodgers.
Where are they,
at
Mesa?
spring training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't go to the Cubs, but the Cubs sell their shit out. They just had to set the record for highest attended spring training game this week.
It's
Ever.
a long ways from Illinois.
Long way from Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but it was funny watching the White Sox game. Some guy hit a fucking home run in the first inning. I wish I remember this guy's name, but this White Sox fan's like, John Carroll Jr., you're giving us hope. This guy you've never fucking heard of. Like, you go into the White Sox and they give you the program, and the cover of it, it's like Will Venable. You're like, nice.
Nice. I like Will Venable.
A side. I'm sure you do, man. I'm sure he's a great guy.
He is a great guy.
I had no idea he was the manager of the White Sox. I thought he was a player still. I was like, Will Venable.
Book Will Venable, Jake. I want to talk some ball with Will. I had the chance to talk ball with Will Venable in the past, and he's very bright. He's very like, intelligent is too basic, but Hey, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're
he was
like
nice to Jared, so Jared likes him.
No, like, he's just like, he knows modern, he knows old school. He's just well-rounded.
Yeah, Renaissance man.
Yeah.
How old is he?
I don't know.
42, man.
Yeah.
42. Young coat. Young skipper.
Yeah.
Damn, he looks like a prospect. Google Will Venable. Is this him? Number 1? He looks like he just signed in the 2025 draft. First picture.
Yeah. There he is.
This is the manager of the White Sox.
He's got a great skincare routine. I know that. He's got great teeth. He's handsome. Will Venable. We're going to get Will. You know what? Will Venable is going to be on the podcast. We're going to manifest this. That should be easy. Why not? Anyways, baseball's right around the corner. What is today? Isn't it 2 weeks from today, Justin Havens?
I mean,
4 days away.
Technically, it's 5 days away, right? March 18th?
17th, I think.
I thought it was the 18th and the 19th.
Well, Jay's probably right. Let's be honest, but
Let's be honest.
It's 17th.
Yeah.
I think it's 17th.
17 and 18?
18th and 19th.
18th and 19th. There you go, Joe.
Hey, Japan, but in Japan, it's a different day.
That might
That's
be true. 6:10 a.m. Eastern time on the 18th.
There you go.
Yep.
The MLB season is right around the corner, and Underdog Fantasy wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and Giolito to the IL. Fuck. And so much more. Make entries of all baseball, or you can mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. I think we're going to be integrating more of our picks into the podcast as we roll along during the season. You know, if there's a nice slate that night, maybe throw some picks out, get you guys paid out there. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's Jared to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Let's be honest. No one's going to take our picks. They're going to take Jay Hayes' picks, which, that's probably smart. And a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Yeah, fuck, Jake. What's going on? Why? What? Listen, you know what? I'll make that trade. Lose Lucas Giolito for 2 weeks in exchange for Garrett Cole being out the whole year. I make that deal. We can take that blow. We got Dick Fitz, brother. We got Quinn Priester, former first rounder. We've got the depth to be able to absolve this blow. We can take it. No one's built like us. Maybe the Dodgers. The Dodgers have some depth, I think. The Dodgers have some depth in their rotation. But outside of that, who the fuck's got Red Sox depth in the rotation? Nobody. We can lose a Lucas Giolito for a couple weeks and be like, hey, Dick Fitz, go get him, kid. Hey, Quinn Priester, go chuck 97 in the meantime. Sure. Done. I'm not worried. You worried, Jake? Because I'm not.
We'll be fine. He'll take a nice rest over the next 2 weeks and be ready to go.
Who gives a shit?
It's just
You know?
a hamstring, right?
It's a little hammy. Woo. Woo. You know, people were saying about the last episode, Jay Hay, that I was putting on an act. They were like,
I did see some of that.
Yeah, they were like, oh, Jay Hay must be getting fed up with Jared the way that he's talking. Oh, Jay Hay might walk out on the show because of how Jared's talking about the Yankees.
I didn't see that particular comment, but I guess
they
I
were
could threaten
saying that you wanted to vomit with rage because of the way that I was talking about the Yankees. They're like, he must be fed up with Jared's shit. And
Damn.
And you know what I said, Joe?
No.
I don't think I responded. But if I did, I would have said, I think Jay Hay's living a very happy life. I don't think that he's bothered at all by my criticisms of the New York Yankees roster construction. I think he's perfectly fine.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
That would have been an accurate comment.
What the?
Yeah.
Dude, but the Red Sox are banged up, bro, in the rotation.
No, we're fine. It's just Giolito. He's got a little hammy going on.
Are you worried about Cutter Crawford's knee soreness?
He wasn't even going to be in the rotation to start the year. He's not in the club, brother. He was a long man.
Cutter?
Yeah, bro.
Well, what about Bayo?
That one hurts. Yeah.
What about? I guess Patrick Sandoval wasn't either.
No. He was not part of the plans.
But Cutter was nice last year.
He gave up the most home runs in baseball. He was
had a great first half.
Yeah, no, he was good. Minus the home runs, he was good. But I mean, they were talking 6-man rotation. Like anytime that you talk 6-man rotation in spring training, just know you're not going to get to opening day with the depth necessary to have a 6-man rotation. So
it's like speaking
don't,
it into existence, like curses you. Like
Yeah,
even
it's
the
like,
mention of a 6-man, it's like you will now have a 3-man.
Right. The Red Sox were like, all right, we're 8 starters deep, so we might run that 6-man rotation to start the year. Now it's like, do we have a 5th? No, we do. We're fine. Quinn Priester, Dick Fitz. Don't worry about us. Keep your eyes on your own paper, motherfucker. By the way, Andrew McCutchen will be released. The interview will be released tomorrow, Jake?
Tomorrow.
Pirates legend, baseball legend, Andrew McCutchen. Our sit down with him in Bradenton at Pirates Camp will be released as a podcast wherever you get your podcast. It will also be released on our YouTube channel. Very fun one. I think when it's all said and done and he hangs it up, that there will be a lot of clips that we'll be able to repurpose during that time that are very introspective, great reflection of the career from Andrew McCutchen. And he was just great. I mean, like I've been a fan from afar for many, many years, and it was really cool to get to meet him, get to talk to him, and the conversation was fantastic. So I hope you guys enjoyed as much as we enjoyed being able to conduct it. No Dallas Braden today. You've noticed because no one has been interrupted yet when they were speaking on this podcast. That Dallas is not here. So we are going to save the 1997 redraft for what? Monday?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll be back on the regular Joe schedule, right?
Yeah. Are you here Monday, Joe?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we'll do the redraft on Monday when we're rejoined by Dallas Braden and Joseph pulling back-to-back pod duty. But that's not to say that we will move on and not do Family Feud. Like, we will be doing Family Feud without Dallas Braden today. Also, speaking of Dallas Braden, that Slab Lab with Shane Bieber was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect because it feels like every episode of Slab Lab is different, where, you know, the first one with Scooble, they're out running poles and they're doing all kinds of workouts and throwing, and there's a bullpen involved. And then with Mason Miller, it's like Dallas is standing in and he's throwing whatever it is, like 25 pitches. He wants to see a righty. He wants to see a lefty. And the Shane Bieber episode was more just like, he was kind of stretching the entire time, but it was just like an honest, vulnerable conversation that Biebs had with Dallas. I think that speaks to the relationship that Biebs has with us, you know, that he's comfortable to have that type of vulnerable conversation. We've been there since day one. I mean, for, you know, some of the guys in this league, it's like Lawrence Butler, I can definitely see being one of those guys that when he's getting his 5th All-Star selection, that he's going to be like, fuck you if you weren't with me in the beginning. Shane Bieber is one of those dudes where like we can say we were there in the beginning. We were invested from the jump. So to get to see his career and have access to him throughout his career, the ups and the downs, the Cy Youngs, the All-Star MVPs, the TJs, the comeback. It's a really cool conversation to be able to, have that fly on the wall perspective, because I mean, I don't know that he's being as open and honest with just about anybody with a subject like that.
Yeah. And I think that's the one of the strengths of Slab Lab is that, you're going in knowing that it's going to be a talk about pitching, and oftentimes, kind of a deeper level conversation about pitching, but it's also where is the player going to take you? What are the players' comfort spots and stuff like that. And that was going to be my first comment, was that of all the Slab Labs that have been released, and in my opinion, of the ones that I've seen, it's Shane was the most visibly comfortable with the conversation and what was going on. And you laid out all the reasons why that's the case. I think it's great. Some of them will be more pitching conversations moving forward. Hopefully there will be more workout heavy ones in the future as well. And no, I think it's been a great series, and the uniqueness of each guy and each one, and each one's pitch arsenal, and that's why there's so much content there, is that every pitcher is different, and you can kind of unearth different stuff with each guy while telling their story. So looking forward to the next one as well. Yeah.
It's a great series. Mike Eamon doing great work behind the scenes. Jeremy. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But it is interesting how, depending on the time of the year, is dependent on like that, but not necessarily the access that you get, but the kind of content that will come from it.
For sure. But I do think that, again, that ebb and flow and that like almost forced diversity of content will end up being good for, the channel and long-term consumption and stuff like that. Cause I think there's a lot of meat on that bone in season and off season.
No doubt. Big story for me.
Yeah.
Since the last recording, the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, where when we're talking about they didn't meet my asking price, it's like, is that the asking price for everyone, or is that the asking price for the Blue Jays? Because my gut tells me this is not like scoop shop or anything like that. I'm not tapped into the Vladdy Jr. camp, but it feels to me like the price for the Blue Jays is a little bit different from a team that he would prefer to go to. I'm not implying that he wants to go to the Red Sox. He does, but I mean, it's not like I'm saying the price for the Red Sox is different from the price for the Blue Jays, because it's not like he's going to be like, all right, it's $500 for the Blue Jays, but it's $350 for the Red Sox. It's still going to cost a pretty penny if you're the team that he prefers to go to or not. I understand that. But do either of you think that he made it purposefully difficult because he didn't want, he's going to be there for the whole year? Like, if he just outright refuses to sign an extension, you're kind of making it difficult between you and the fans are already disgruntled in Toronto because, no one wants to take their money. Their window is closing. They know it. And it was not a fruitful run for the Dynasty Jays.
Yeah, it probably goes without saying, but this is scoop free as well. This is just my conjecture, my opinion. I think that's a lot to it. I think to say that he, like, I don't want to make it seem like Vlad is being a jerk or like ornery or whatever, but I do think he is probably setting this up to try and navigate it so that he gets a lot of money. It's not with the Blue Jays, and he's not a villain on a team that he currently kind of has to still play for until they move him or he leaves as a free agent this offseason, because he doesn't want to just, and I understand this, I wouldn't either. He doesn't want to come out and play for a team where at every home game, he's going to be viewed as, like, again, something of a villain, a guy who doesn't want to be there, who didn't want to sign with them, who won't sign with them. And I think framing it as the team didn't meet your asking price when the reporting suggests that their offer was still pretty robust, admittedly with deferrals, but still pretty robust. I think it would have been the third largest total outlay in Major League Baseball history. That still seems like, to your point, maybe he just wants to be elsewhere.
Well, don't you think that this is going to make them hate him more, if anything?
No.
Like, to come out and correct me if I'm wrong. He just kind of said, I wanted to get paid X amount. They didn't pay me X amount. But isn't the reaction kind of like, you really thought you were going to get X amount, dude? And now you're coming out publicly saying that you want X amount when you really didn't have to say anything. You could have just left it at that. Now you're kind of like pinning the organization against you. Like, these cheap motherfuckers don't even want to pay me.
Well, and it does seem like it's on the verge of like getting kind of, or it's at the risk of getting maybe a little bit ugly, to your point, because I've seen some there are some people who are going very hard on this topic, I feel like, and not to name names, but certainly people with national platforms seem to be like kind of dogs with a bone on this topic from one particular angle. And I'm not even saying that they or people are wrong for saying that the Jays should do anything and everything they can to sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But it does feel like maybe like a slow start for the Blue Jays. I feel like could be like an early and devastating death knell to just kind of the narrative here and their need to move on from him sooner than later.
Yeah, like, you're right.
Like if they start 4-12, right? Like, or 6-20, like something like that. I just feel like we could be at the end of April and having a conversation about like, do the Jays already need to be trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for multiple reasons?
Well, Jared, you just said that you think that him saying this isn't going to make the fucking Blue Jays fans not like him, but like, we just said, like, it seems pretty obvious to us, the way he's talking, the way these reports coming out, that he probably doesn't want to be in Toronto, like making this public and asking what he's asking for and then making it public. So it's like, if we're under the impression from what's going public that he doesn't really want to be in Toronto, and I'm sure people in Toronto, they can read, they have schools in Canada and shit.
Yep.
So like, they're smart enough to know, like, yeah, they get that sense too, that this guy doesn't want to be in Toronto. How could that not make the fans kind of be like, well, fuck him, he doesn't even want to be here?
Ultimately, if Blue Jays fans are being real about it and they're looking at the writing on the wall, I don't know how I would personally react in this situation. But if they're looking at it objectively, they can say, well, I get why he wouldn't want to be here. Like it's no
objectively.
Yeah, like it's
what fan has ever looked at anything objectively?
No, I understand. I mean, some fan bases, I guess, like once you've been beaten into the ground enough times. But if you're a Blue Jays fan, it's a tough spot because I can speak from experience where like my ownership just wasn't fucking trying. Like they just did not spend, and it was a pointed thing. Like it was intentional that they weren't doing that. The Blue Jays, like they're not landing these top stars, but they were trying to, like I think they were trying to sign Juan Soto. They were trying to sign Shohei Ohtani. I guess like I feel for them because that's got to be even worse where there's a hopelessness that comes with an ownership that doesn't spend, as Jay sits there wearing a Pirates cap. There's a hopelessness, but there's also a sense of reality where I don't think Pirates fans are going to wake up one day and be like, well, why weren't we in the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes? It's like, well, they've just kind of accepted over time. Like we're not that organization. The Blue Jays, it's like, man, we have all this money to spend. Clearly, like there's not a player too rich for our budget, but people don't want to take our money. So if you're Vladdy, it's like, we had our shot. And now I want to go somewhere else. I don't think he's at fault for that.
I think it's cyclical, though. Like, I still think that the players don't want to take the money thing is really, and right now it's really more about yes, they lost out on those other guys, right? But we've gone over this before. All the reports suggest that they did not make an offer that was substantially larger and more attractive than the next most attractive offer, right? Like, I think the reporting is that the Mets offered the most money or whatever, and they ended up getting Juan Soto or whoever. Who did?
Are you talking about Soto or Shohei?
Yeah, Soto.
Soto just did an interview in Spanish a few days ago where he said that the Mets did not offer the most money.
But he didn't say who did?
No, he did not.
Okay. That's fucking crazy.
So there's no evidence available that the Blue Jays have ever once had the highest offer for any of the players that they missed out on, right? Like, they may have been in the ballpark. They may have been offering $700 million for these guys, but offering $700 million when other teams are offering $750 million really isn't anything. It's not, you're never going to get that person. So, to me, that they're missing out on these incredibly bold targets that they were always a lower percentage odds of getting in the first place is less concerning than the fact that they're going to lose a homegrown guy internally who should be more incentivized to stay there. That being said, I do think that the unwillingness to take the money is more cyclical than anything. And the fact that they are willing to spend, ownership that is in theory encouraging for how long the next retooling or rebuild might take if they have to move on from Vlad Jr., because it's obviously easier to retool with lots of money than it is with little money.
I'm trying to find this interview right now, but I want to say he even said like who like the finalists were and did mention Toronto. But I think he mentioned 5 teams. So it's like, that's not, I mean, like, yes, it's a, I don't know. I guess it's a top 5 in a league of 30. Like that's, it's not the worst thing, but it's, how close were we? I don't know.
Right. That's, I don't know.
But even if even though the Blue Jays have whiffed on these big guys, and even if they didn't have the best offer, they've still brought in like a decent amount of players like George Springer and
that's no doubt.
Barrios, Gosman, Bassett. Like they have, it's not really. I mean, you could say it's not literally a spending issue. It's more like the guys they've gotten have regressed.
And I think it's fair if, as we've talked about before, like if Vlad Jr., if we're talking about this specific case, is looking around at the people around him and saying, is this the best place for me to play out the rest of my prime? And really, if he's looking for the 14 or 15 year deal that he's talking about, the entirety of the rest of his career, is this the best place for me? I think it's totally objectively reasonable for the conclusion to that to be, no, this is not the best place for me. And even if I still only get $500 million from the team once I hit free agency, like I'll be in a place that's better suited to support me with a winner right now.
And it's more, and also probably the biggest factor is that if I go to free agency, they'll offer me more if they're competing with other teams. Granted, he has the season he had last year. We'll see. Because
and that's what
he's kind of at risk of, if he has the 2023 season, then he might be looking at, okay, fuck, maybe I will go to the Blue Jays if they're going to offer me the most money,
And that's why I think this free agency, Vlad Jr.'s, is one of the most fascinating in the last decade or so. Like way more interesting to me in a lot of ways than the Juan Soto free agency, because the Juan Soto free agency was really 2 questions, right? It's how much money is this man going to get and where is he going to get it from, right? And those are pretty basic, fundamental questions of free agency. But like, it was never, is Juan Soto going to get paid a lot of money? Is Juan Soto a generational hitter? Like all of those things were already asked and answered. And it was just like, to what degree? And with Vlad Jr., to your point, like if he has another 2024, like what level can he get to spending wise? Like, can he threaten some of the other biggest contracts that we've ever seen? Can he be the 3rd largest contract ever? But like, if he steps back, then you're talking about a no defense, right first baseman, who traditionally those players have not A, aged well, and B, have not in recent baseball history gotten paid an enormous amount of money. You then have what I brought up before about the other free agents that are in line to be available in the 2026 to 28 period, and how fucking bad those people are relative to people's expectations for impact free agents. There's just so much going on with Vlad and his player profile and trajectory and what sort of guy he is that I just think it's going to be a fascinating walk here. When they trade him, how good are the Blue Jays?
I guess it really depends on how good of a walk year he has, but like, is he going to get $500 million?
I mean, he's going to be 26.
He seems to think so, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's
does.
going to be 26. I mean, he's not good at defense and he plays first base. I mean, first basemen have been getting screwed the fuck over like their NFL running backs lately. But he is 26 and he has close to an MVP.
Which is a great point. He's one of these guys that's reaching free agency at 2 or 3 years earlier than a lot of guys reach free agency, which is maybe the largest part of his appeal and his argument for getting this $400 or $500 million contract is that he will be, to your point, significantly younger.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just crazy because I mean, you look at his stats. I'm kind of surprised. I was kind of ignorant to the season he had last year, bro. Like I didn't realize that his numbers were that good, honestly. Like he had an amazing offensive season last year. But like after his MVP season, for those 2 years, year and a half after that, there was a lot of talk of like, what the fuck happened to Vladdy? He just fell off.
I was one of those
cliff,
people, for sure.
You know, kind of like not quite Cody Bellinger, but closer to Bellinger than Soto. And that's kind of just more of the narrative than, I don't know what the front offices are more, you know, in tune with like what we're looking at than just like people on Twitter being like, this guy just grounds out, can't hit a fly ball for his life, has no power, he's fat as fuck, he can't play defense. I mean, it's probably the funniest thing of all time that people don't talk about, that he got a gold glove.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't.
He got a gold glove in 2022. Like, how the fuck this guy get a gold glove in 2022? Like,
I don't know the answer to that.
That award is just fake, dude.
Yeah, it's not the best award.
Yeah. Well, how about Via?
How about it, by the way?
How about it, brother? How about...
Wait, before we go to Via, 2022, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had a negative 15.1 defensive WAR and 1 gold glove.
That's tough.
Yeah. If you haven't tried Via yet, you're seriously missing out. Whether you need to unwind, refocus, or just pretend that you have your life together, Via is here to enhance your everyday. And let's be honest, probably your night too. 500,000 happy customers can't be wrong. Via is changing the game in natural wellness, combining high-quality hemp-derived ingredients with powerful cannabinoids to create real, effect-driven results.
Cannabinoid. That sounds like robot weed.
I know. What the hell?
Cannabinoids.
Not just fancy packaging and empty promises. Want to sleep better, more focus, a little boost in the bedroom, or maybe you just need to chill out because your stress levels are currently at screaming into the void status. Whatever you need, Via has a solution for you. And here's the best part. Via lets you customize your experience, whether you're looking for daily wellness, laser focus, or deep relaxation, aka the kind of chill that makes you one with your couch. Via has it. With products ranging from 0 to high cannabinoid levels, they've got options for everyone. We're talking award-winning effect forward gummies, premium indoor-grown THCA flower, and calming drops. All made with organic lab-tested hemp for trusted independent American farms. None of that mystery gas station nonsense. And you don't have to jump through hoops or get some weird doctor's note. Via legally ships nationwide discreetly. Because let's be real, your nosy neighbors don't need to know your business. No medical card required, no sketchy parking lot meetups, just straight to your door with a worry-free guarantee. Not sure where to start? No worries. Via has a product finder quiz that will hook you up with the perfect match in less than 60 seconds, which, let's be honest, is less time than it takes to decide what to watch on Netflix. So if you're 21 plus, treat yourself to 15% off and a free gift with your first order using our exclusive promo code BID at viahemp.com. Plus, enjoy free shipping on orders over $100. That's VIIAHEMP.com. Promo code BID.
Can I hop in here for a second?
Please.
I basically never do this on the ad reads, but I feel compelled at this point because this is a product that I've used and that I'm going to give the full Jay Hay endorsement to. I have used as a father of 2 kids, 2 lovely children, but still 2 people who demand a lot of my attention. The CBD heavy gummies that they have provided, and they're all kind of designed in neat little containers that all have certain attitudes or vibes to them to kind of help you break down exactly what you're getting into in terms of not only content, but sort of, the plan behind them. But I have been getting some of the best night's sleep of my life since getting in on the Via train. And I would have to say that it's going to be something that's, part of my regimen on a weekly basis moving forward.
Well, love that. Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Barry, the man. Barry Lamar Bonds. He went on the All the Smoke podcast, which I watched a good chunk of it on my flight back from West Palm.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few cool things that he was talking about, a few interesting takes that he had. The first being, I think when he talks about hitting, and he's mentioned this before, but the guys that, Paul Skeens throwing 102, Mason Miller 103 miles an hour. And he thinks, it's obviously difficult, but at the same time, he's like, a catcher can catch that pitch 100 times out of 100. All he does is change the glove to a bat. He's like, I'm just catching the ball. That's how he looks at hitting. In the subject of Shohei Ohtani, he did say that he thinks that Shohei should not completely abandon pitching. He did say maybe, he comes out of the bullpen or something, but he did say he should just be primarily a hitter. How do you guys feel about that take?
That's so stupid. I think Barry Bonds wants to be known as the best baseball player of all time, hands down, best athlete in baseball ever, and feels slighted that because he obviously did steroids, that a lot of people wrote him off as not that good of a player while it was happening. And he's got a big ego and still thinks he can hit 100 fucking miles per hour when he's 60 years old, dude. Not happening. Shohei is a top 10 pitcher in the league and a top 5 hitter in the league. Why wouldn't he do both? This is a take from 2018.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, the 100 mile an hour pitch thing, I actually think Barry might be able to do that. I can sort of level with that. But this, you're right. You hit it dead on. This feels extremely dated. I know he's dealing with 2 major recoveries kind of simultaneously right now. And there's some question to what's his full health status going to be to start the year or even into the season. But I think we're sort of past that for the time being. And I just feel like we need to be appreciating Shohei Ohtani. I think this podcast does, but let's stop trying to give him advice on what he shouldn't be doing, because every time we try to place limitations on what he shouldn't be doing, he goes out and does even crazier shit, really on both sides every time he gets an opportunity to do so. So yeah, just kind of old man yelling at clouds type of
For
thing,
real.
but not even mad about it. Just kind of, I don't know. That one couldn't align with Bonds. Him coming at Shohei, not even coming at, but just kind of trying to poo-poo what he's doing a little bit made me sad. I'd rather have him just lifting Shohei up exclusively.
Well, this is what happens, because for the past 10 years after the steroid era, people a little younger, my age, your guys' age too, there was so much of a heavy backlash against Barry Bonds when he was playing. Fuck, this guy's a scumbag off the field, scumbag on the field, a fucking cheater, piece of shit, should be in jail, right? And then it's after that was gone, everyone was kind of well, that was a little harsh. I mean, look at the guy's numbers. Everyone was doing steroids. This guy's genuinely probably the best hitter of all time. And then for the past decade, it's just been people glazing Barry Bonds for 10 years, talking about how fucking sick his baseball reference page is. But he hasn't done an interview in 10 years, and no one really even knows kind of his personality. People kind of forgot. And now he gets on a podcast, starts saying shit like this, and you realize, oh, maybe there was a reason why people didn't really vibe with Barry Bonds. And it wasn't just that he did steroids like everybody else. Guy's kind of a cocksucker. Not to be too harsh to Barry Bonds.
Yeah, that's
but to like go after Shohei. Dude, there's not one piece of
I don't
evidence.
think he
like,
went after him.
he didn't go after Shohei. But like, come on. Like, if you let him have a fucking season of him being kind of mid at pitching, and then you can say this. There's not one fucking evidence that you could point to where Shohei can't do both. He's only done both since 2021. Every time he's done both. The 1 year where he was rehabbing and doing one, he was a fucking beast at it. Like, how can you're just going to preemptively say he's washed up?
Well, like,
Come on, Barry.
and to that point about, to your original comment about him wanting to be the best, Barry wanting to be the best, like, these are the two guys that in my lifetime are essentially going to be battling it out in my head for the greatest baseball players that I've ever seen. And Shohei's argument or path to being the best that anyone's ever seen is him doing both of these things at a high level, right? Because while Shohei is an unbelievable offensive player, he is not as good as Barry Bonds was at his peak, right? And so, like, the whole deal is that Shohei Ohtani, I guess, A, is clean, and B, is pitching too at, a top 10 in the league level. So, like, I want to see him continue on that path to see what that sort of greatness, like what the mountaintop is there, what his resume looks like at the end.
I didn't realize that Tetas was a actual Spanish term for tits.
Save the Tatas.
I mean, in fairness,
I thought because I've heard Tatas. I've heard Tatas. I'd never heard Tetas, so I did not know that.
I think I didn't either. I think I just don't really understand what was attempting to be accomplished with these hats in general.
I think I understand.
What was it?
I mean, because this happens. I mean, how many times has this happened? New Era just released the dumbest fucking looking hats you've ever seen in your life.
Well, that part happens all the time. But
and millions of impressions go to their website to check them out. Can I buy them? And if you ever go to newera.com, these fuckers are releasing hats like, I don't know, dude. Like I don't know. What do they make a lot of? Like, I don't know what an there's no equivalent. They just put out thousands of fucking hats a week, and they're all these new hats. And it's like they're just throwing shit at the wall, and then they get some crazy shit. You go to the website, and they have these hats that look ridiculous. You never wear them in your life. But then they have some other hats that look sick. So you're like, I'll buy one of these other hats. Like, it's just, I think it's genius marketing. Usually, I don't think that way. Usually, when people do something, some company does something dumb, and people go, "Oh, they're just trying to get clicks." I'm not thinking that. But this one, because it's happened so many fucking times that at this point, you got to say this is a strategy.
Well, this is good. This is interesting insight, actually, because I've never actually visited the New Era website. So that you've kind of like walked through the experience and seen the junk and then kind of sifted through to get to the stuff that you might actually want to buy. I think you might be onto something, because these are hideously terrible hats. And the idea that they had to be pulled off the shelves, and then the ones that were out there, I think I saw were going for, $700, $1,000 or whatever they were for the Tetas hats. Yeah. I guess maybe that's the answer, because nobody could think these are in good taste.
I was watching, is it Dave Sampson? Is he the Marlins general manager?
Yeah, David Sampson.
Yes. Okay. So he was explaining how many levels this would have to go through to get approved. It's a lot. Like how, and there are obviously Spanish speaking individuals in all departments, New Era, the Rangers, Major League Baseball. Like, I don't know how something like this could make it through that many levels and get approved.
You remember when they did the Players Weekend jerseys? I think that they were like the all white and the all black or whatever. You remember that? They were just hideous, terrible jerseys. I think I remember it was either that or the previous Players Weekend ones, but either way, whatever the bad ones were, I remember we were walking around the office and we're saying essentially that, like, do you know how many layers of approval these things had to go through as we're getting all these awful social media mentions about these terrible jerseys. And I'm pretty sure we found out after the fact that like the person who was like on the team that designed the jerseys was like within earshot of that entire conversation, as we're like, how many fucking layers did this go through? Like, yeah, so it happens all the time. It seems like with their merch, I guess, is the idea.
I'm on newera.com. We just went to MLB hats, and I just went to page 112. 112 pages of MLB hats, guys. I'm looking at a Yankees flat brim with a fucking globe on it, like the planet Earth right below the logo. Like, this is not, they just throw shit at the wall. Let's just make a fucking new hat. We got to do something. We pay these guys a salary to make fucking hats. We're going to make a hat today.
I thought
make a hat a week.
The A's ass hat, I thought that was like a Photoshop. That was also real.
Yeah.
But I think that was like another one where people caught on to it quick and it never got released. How do you make the ass hat and then follow it up with something like this? And then like the Angels, did they pull the Angels hat too? The one that said anals?
I think they pulled all of them.
So that's got to be in
response to these incidents.
It's got to be someone being like, let's see if we can get away with this.
I think you guys are a combination of correct. I think it's more devious and planned than I was maybe thinking at first blush.
Yeah,
I think
it's like when like the Disney designers try to sneak dicks into like children's movies. Like they're like, can we get away with this? Like, there's always subliminal stuff and like the Disney stuff that like shouldn't be there, and like we hope no one notices. And this is during a time where the internet doesn't exist, so it's like these people that see this, it's like they might see it, but they're not going to be able to communicate this with each other. But now, there's got to be some sort of, like, can we get away with this? And if we don't, then we can just claim ignorance.
I don't know anything about that Disney stuff you were talking about. I am a
look it up.
I am a loyal soldier.
Look it up.
Anybody listening to this podcast, make sure to know that. I think the New Era thing has been solved. I think we solved it. Viral marketing plus what can we get away with plus we need to produce slop, so let's get some slop up.
Yeah.
Right?
That's pretty much it. Pretty much. Well then. Got to talk to you about Hims, though.
Okay.
If you've lost your hair, like Dallas, it doesn't mean you can't find it again. Try Hims Hair Loss Solutions, and you'll be joining hundreds of thousands of subscribers who found their hair again. Hims provides you with convenient and quality access to a range of hair loss treatments that work all from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. Choose from your personalized chewable oral spray and serum treatments to find what works, what's best for you. The process is simple and 100% online, so there are no uncomfortable doctor visits. Answer a few questions, and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment is sent directly to you for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, and they can help you get your confidence back too with visibly thicker and fuller hair. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/BID. That's HIMS.com/BID for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/BID.
Welcome back to Baseball is Dead Family Feud. I'm your man, Justin Havens. We've got a very special episode this time. We planned for as many as a 3-person episode, but as we said, DB he's coaching some ball. So it's going to be Joey and Jared today, 200 points, 5 questions. So we'll do the first 5 questions that we asked. We'll save the other 2 for maybe a future week. How you guys feeling?
I'm feeling
the live one went well, right?
Rejuvenized. I'm feeling, feeling lively today.
All right. Which of you is going to go first?
I think Joe should probably go first because I have the ability to kill my headphones. I don't know that he does.
Okay.
So, Joseph,
That
you
makes
go
sense.
first.
Joe,
Yeah.
you can go first.
Sir, yes, sir.
You know the drill, Joe, right? 5 questions. We asked 100 fans. I mean, you killed it last time. You're a pro.
I'm undefeated. I actually have the highest average score,
I think that's true, actually.
and I've never lost.
I think both of those are true, actually. All right. Jake, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Great. Question number 1. Name a franchise that has not won the World Series in the last 20 years.
Rockies.
Name an active MLB player, pitcher or position player, with a career B WAR of 50 or greater.
Mike Trout.
Name the best rivalry team-based currently in baseball.
Dodgers, Padres.
Name your favorite pitch type.
Blinker.
Final question. Name an MLB team with an animal for a mascot.
Tigers.
Thank you, Joe. Nailed it. And so calm. Such a contrast from DB's performances on here. Just a slow heartbeat.
Some people perform under the pressure, man.
That's true, man. And oddly enough, it's not the dude who threw the perfect game.
Everyone gets lucky. Everyone, clock's right twice a day.
That's right. Jared can pop those back on. All right. Do you want to know what Joe got?
Yes or no over 100?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So you need something less than 100 points.
Okay.
Question number 1. As always, out of 100. Name a franchise that has not won the World Series in the last 20 years.
Oh, Padres. I thought you were going to go like ever, but okay.
Name an active MLB player, pitcher or position player, with a career B WAR of 50 or greater.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Active?
Yep. MLB player, position player, or pitcher with a career B WAR of 50 or greater.
Kershaw.
Name the best rivalry team-based currently in baseball.
Yankees, Red Sox.
Name your favorite pitch type.
Two-seam fastball.
Name an MLB team with an animal for a mascot.
The Cubs.
Thank you. Let's add them up here. This is going to be good, folks.
That's a banger. That was a cakewalk, low key.
I'm surprised that we didn't have any doubles.
Nope,
right?
You did not. All right. Let's do it. All right. So Joe got you 118 points. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you need 92 points to bring home the victory. Question number 1. Name a franchise that has not won the World Series in the last 20 years. Joe said the Rockies. That was 7 points. That was tied for the number 7 answer.
Jeez.
Jared said the Padres. That was the exact same number of points. 7 points.
Okay.
Which brings you up to 125 with 4 questions remaining. The number 1 answer was the Mariners with 12. This was the largest spread of any question.
Okay.
Mariners 12, Rays 11, Guardians and A's both got 10. 125, you need 75 points. Question 2, name an active MLB player, pitcher or position player with a career B WAR of 50 or greater. Joe delivered the number 1 answer here, which was Mike Trout with 39 points. Jared said Clayton Kershaw. That was worth 15 points. The number 3 answer, that brings you up to 140. Verlander was the one sandwich in between with 22 points. You guys there were only 3 answers that got double digits. Mookie Betts was 7. That was the number 4. So you have 60 points remaining and 3 questions left. Name the best rivalry team-based currently in baseball. Jared said Red Sox, Yankees. That was the number 1 answer. 40 points. That gets you up to 180 with 2 questions left. You have 20 remaining points. Joe said Padres Dodgers. That was the number 2 answer with 36 points. So you guys cleaned up with 76 points on question number 3. Question 4, name your favorite pitch type. Joe said the splinker, which got 3 points.
Shit, should have said sweeper.
Sweeper would have gotten you 5.
Well, better than 3.
Sinker or two-seamer.
Whoa. That's the same one? The same pitch?
It's not.
Okay.
They were filed under 2 different responses.
Good.
Two-seamer got you 1 point.
Fuck.
Jared, unfortunately. 181. Sinker, for that matter, only had 3 points. So
What's the number 1?
Number 1 was 4-seam, changeup, and slider. They each had 15 points. So pretty traditional performance by the Discord there. Curveball, 14 points.
Favorite pitch?
Jared
That's
needs
a fucking weird question.
Jared needs 19 points out of the final question to be a hero.
Well,
name an MLB team with an animal for a mascot. Jared said Cubs. Unfortunately, that's only 9 points.
that's crazy.
That
Come
gets us to
on.
190. We fall 10 points
Wow.
short. Joe got the number 1 answer on this question. Tigers 33. There was no question on 5 that would have gotten it from your current position. Yeah, unfortunately, you guys came up just shy. It was really the pitch type question that got you. You guys only got 6.
Something must be wrong.
You only got
dude.
4 points total on that one.
There has to be some mistake.
Joe loses for the first time in Family Feud history.
I wouldn't even bring that up anymore if I was you.
You guys will get them next week.
Discourse, as usual.
That one hurts. I felt like it was a strong performance.
Yeah, I mean, no fucking repeat answers. I feel like that's a good sign.
Yeah,
You
no
have
repeat answers and no
That is
answers
good.
where I was like, man, that one's fucking dumb.
Pitch type, really fastballs. Like, how basic are you people? Just say you don't know ball. Say the splinker. It's the newest fucking dopest pitch ever. If you don't have love for the splinker, what do you love? What do you like? Milk and cookies, you know? Mayo ass fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mayo ass.
mayo. You know what I'm saying? Boring. Like, come on, splinker. 2-seamer.
Yeah,
Jared, come on, 2-seamer, bro. Like, who says 2-seamer? You thought the DB rub off? That's his.
No,
DB
I mean,
rub.
that one was also another one where the number 1 answer wouldn't have even got us there anyway.
Yeah. It's like
Right, but it's
favorite
just the number 1 answer in that question. There were paths for you guys to win that.
Yeah,
It's not like you maxed out at 190.
it would have been tough.
I mean, but how sick is it hit the Tigers? I mean, there's a lot of fucking animals out there. You name the number 1 animal mascot. Pretty good answer by me, but I'm not the type of guy to brag.
Justin Havens.
Yeah.
I think it might be some time for this.
MVP.
Knocking on Cy Young's door today. Shout out Bob Dylan. The 2012 AL and NL Cy Youngs, R.A. Dickey and David Price. 2 ones that I think are going to be fun to go through here because you got a little bit of the same thing going on with both votes in a sense, in that there's a lot to suggest that there was narrative-driven, wins and losses-driven voting going on for both of these, but that's not to say that the wrong answer or the wrong conclusion was reached with the 2 winners. Let's start with the NL side, which is R.A. Dickey's award. This was, in the mind of the voters, this was not a particularly close vote. R.A. Dickey received 27 of the 32 first place votes. Kershaw got 2. Gio Gonzalez, Johnny Cueto, and Craig Kimbrell each received 1. So, again, in the minds of the voters, this was clearly R.A. Dickey's win. At the time, and still, he joined Tom Seaver and Dwight Gooden as the only pitchers in Mets franchise history to earn the NL Cy Young Award. This season, he led the NL in innings pitched with 233 and 2/3, strikeouts with 230, shutouts and complete games. And he was the first knuckleballer to win the award.
That should have won the favorite pitch.
Knuckleball got like
Question.
14, I think. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. That would have won it for you guys if you would have
And
said
I'm ingrained with the knuckleball. I'm in a lawsuit right now with the knuckleball.
That's right,
I should have fucking had that.
Yeah, that's crazy that you didn't get that.
I'm getting sued by the knuckleball. Knuckleball fucks me again.
There it is. Knuckleball fucked him again. So he was the first knuckleballer to win the Cy Young Award. So I think that's really kind of like the point that is worth hammering home, is that there was a novelty to R.A. Dickey's performance. It was something that no one had really ever seen, at least to this magnitude, this degree. Obviously, he's the first one to actually bring home the Cy Young Award, but he was also like, certainly at the time and really over the vast majority of history, as far as knuckleballers go, they were statistically not huge strikeout pitchers. And R.A. Dickey, as I laid out before, had roughly a strikeout per inning. He had 230 strikeouts, which led the NL. So not only was he a knuckleballer who had a sub-3 ERA and threw 230 plus innings, but he had 230 strikeouts too. He was a different cat than we had seen. He also had a dominance stretch that I think helped kind of sell the idea narrative-wise of him winning the award. As a reminder, he had 32 and 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings from May 22nd to June 13th of that season. If you go even broader than that, he had a stretch of 48 and 2/3 innings where he allowed 1 run. So Jake Arrieta had a similar kind of run in the year that he ended up going on to win the Cy Young Award, also in a Clayton Kershaw season where he could have won. And Dickey was the one who reeled off that sort of epic run this season. In terms of, possible arguments or context as to why Dickey maybe should not have won the award, this is really just an argument between R.A. Dickey and Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw was the reigning Cy Young winner at the time. He had won in 2011. And if you went by wins above replacement, Kershaw would have been the winner again. He was ahead of Dickey in both F-WAR 6.1 to 4.7, as well as B-WAR 6.4 to 5.7. Kershaw also had the traditional ERA advantage, 2.53 to 2.73, while throwing 6 fewer innings. So that kind of ERA innings pitch situation is closer to a wash than anything else. With the benefit of hindsight, if Kershaw had won this award, this would have ended up being, quote unquote, 4 straight Cy Youngs for Clayton Kershaw. He won, as I said, the year before. He would also go on to win the year after and the year after, 13 and 14. Part of the narrative thing going on here is that while Kershaw was arguably the best pitcher in the league in 2012, he was not quite as sparklingly good as he was in 2011. So he was battling perception of himself. He both had a higher ERA in 2012 than he did in 2011. And probably more importantly, from the voters' perspective, he went from 21-5 in 2011 to a quote unquote pedestrian 14-9 in 2012. And that is the other part that I think is worth mentioning here, is that R.A. Dickey went 20-6. Clayton Kershaw went 14-9. And that in some ways was kind of the end of the conversation. And I think, there's something to be said that R.A. Dickey managed to win 20 games and have the success that he did, while the Mets went 74-88 that season. So he was in many ways, I won't say the lone bright spot on this Mets team, but he was certainly the brightest part of this Mets team, and was just an incredible, incredible story given R.A. Dickey's own personal baseball journey and his lack of elbow ligaments and all the sort of fun, weird stuff that had gone on with his baseball life. Like, remember, he had pitched basically a decade in the league prior to breaking out in a big way with the Mets in 2012. He'd kind of shown flashes the year before and then was the full deal in 2012.
He also pitched without the knuckleball, didn't he, his first few years?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Yes. Yep. Which is why when he ended up being a knuckleballer later in his career, he still had that more viable fastball to go to that was not kind of this, total basically junk fastball. He threw harder than most traditional knuckleballers. So yes, that's a great point to bring up. And obviously redefined his career arc completely. That is a long way of saying that while I could easily point to wins above replacement, either version, or ERA, or Clayton Kershaw's legacy, or the fact that he would go on to win both before and after this season and say, you know what, baseball history would be better off if Clayton Kershaw had this Cy Young Award. This would give him 4 in a row. It would kind of round out his run of dominance. And in many ways, I do think he was deserving of this award. But I am not knocking on R.A. Dickey's door today. And
thank God.
And part of that is because
you're afraid of the lawsuit. I get it.
No, yeah, I don't want to get caught up in all the knuckleball litigation that's flying around right now. But I don't think Clayton Kershaw's advantage in, kind of like the advanced metrics, so to say, are so significant that it should outweigh what I think was a legitimately special moment in time, a season that I think is equally important in terms of capturing kind of like the magic of baseball and baseball history. I think R.A. Dickey's season was actually really significant and equally great to Clayton Kershaw's. And I think Kershaw's legacy is sufficiently summed up with his 3 Cy Young Awards. There are also seasons as we go through Clayton Kershaw's career where you could argue either way. Should he have won? Should Roy Halladay have won? Should he have won? Should Jake Arrieta have won? So much in the way that we've done with Roger Clemens, you can go both ways with a lot of Clayton Kershaw's seasons. But in this case, I'm going to keep R.A. Dickey because I think I think his significance to the 2012 season and to the Mets and the greatness of his season is more than Cy Young worthy. So he will be sticking with that. Does anybody disagree strongly?
I don't have a strong opinion on it. No, I just remember that season fondly as someone that grew up watching Tim Wakefield. And then I think R.A. Dickey was probably the first guy that did it as well, if not better. So I was just fascinated being like, I didn't know that you could do that. Cause at the time I guess the perception was like Tim Wakefield was a standalone knuckleballer in baseball. And it's like, he's the only guy that did it. And then someone else came along and I was like, wait a second, are you allowed to do that? So yeah, no, I remember the season fondly and the hardware stays.
I got some notes on the R.A. Dickey.
Talk to me.
Pretty funny. His like, this could be a little discombobulated. 2006, I believe they let R.A. Dickey throw the knuckleball for the first time in 2006. The Rangers let him make 1 start, and he gave up 6 home runs in 3 innings, which I think was like the record. And then didn't pitch for 2 entire seasons. Came back after 2 years of really dialing in the knuckler, and eventually came back and fucking won the Cy Young. Beast, dude. This is a guy who got drafted, got a big signing bonus for getting drafted. They look at his elbow. They're like, bro, you don't have a UCL. We're not paying you shit, dude. He just found out, I don't have a UCL, which apparently was an injury risk, but in reality, that should be a good thing, dude. You can't get Tommy John. He didn't have a UCL.
It's crazy.
I mean, he threw 5. Like, it feels like you think about it in hindsight and you're like, oh, the whole R.A. Dickey thing was like a season and a half. And then it was just kind of over. R.A. Dickey threw 5 straight seasons of 200 plus innings pitched.
Yeah.
Like he was never that guy again, but he was a more than serviceable kind of undersells him. Like he was leading the league in games started all the time. And even the seasons before and after that 200 plus innings pitch streak. He had 174, 169, and 190 innings. Like he threw 190 innings in the last season he pitched in Major League Baseball at 42 years old.
Shit.
Which I know, again, is a virtue. It's a virtue of being a knuckleballer, but still kind of cool. AL side, David Price and Justin Verlander. Quick run through of David Price's win. He was the first pitcher in Tampa Bay Rays history to win the award. He was the first pitcher at the time. Again, this is 2012. He was the first pitcher in 9 years to win the award from the AL East, which, is a decent amount of time. It had been since Roy Halladay in 2003, and he was the first number 1 overall selection ever to go on to win the Cy Young Award. So a first in many, many ways for David Price. This also was the closest AL vote in Cy Young history, separated by only 4 total voting points and 1 first place vote. David Price got 14 first place votes. Justin Verlander got 13. And then some dickhead voted for Fernando Rodney with a first place vote too. Rodney didn't even lead the league in saves. And somehow, probably some Tampa writer figured a way to vote for Fernando Rodney. Jim Johnson actually led the league in saves for the Orioles with 51. He finished 7th in the voting. But this was really, with all due respect to very, very good borderline excellent seasons from Jared Weaver and Felix Hernandez and even Chris Sale. This was really a debate between David Price and Justin Verlander. At the very least, the voters got that part right, that they nailed it down to these two. More debatable is whether David Price should have actually been the winner. And I'm still not totally convinced in either direction passionately, because I can see, not to be a total cop-out here, but this is one where I genuinely, no troll, can see both sides of the debate for who should win this one. I do think it going down as the closest vote in AL history for the Cy Young is fitting, because I really do think it's kind of an eye of the beholder thing. On one hand, you have Justin Verlander, who just about every advanced stat would suggest should have been the winner here. He was a win and a half better by wins above replacement. And I think just as importantly, he also had a dominance factor and a bulk factor that David Price didn't really have. His ERA plus was lower. Justin Verlander's was, while David Price's actual ERA was lower. Verlander had 6 complete games. David Price had 2. And I think one thing that, is worth calling out is that Justin Verlander faced 120 more batters. 120 more batters while leading the league, Major League Baseball for that matter, in innings pitched and strikeouts. So Justin Verlander certainly has a very compelling case to have won the Cy Young, even though he went 17-8 and David Price went 20-5, 20 wins leading the league along with Jared Weaver, who also went 20-5. Only 8 of the 46 other AL Cy Young Award winners at that time had matched David Price's total in wins, ERA, and strikeouts. Those were Justin Verlander the year before, Pedro, Roger Clemens, Ron Guidry, Gaylord Perry, Vita Blue, and Denny McLain. And in Major League Baseball history, only 6 other left-handed pitchers, Price's age or younger, he was 27 at the time, have matched his combination of wins, strikeouts, and ERA at season's end. And the only one to do so in the last 40 years at that time was Kershaw, again in 2011. In doing some of the digging around for why David Price won this award over, other than he had more wins, was some research that actually someone else had done on Reddit. So I don't want people to think that I did this 100% on my own, but I found somebody else's research, verified it, and thought it was worth sharing. David Price did some outstanding work against both his toughest opponents by division and his toughest opponents by win or loss. He was 10-2 with a 2.51 ERA against the AL East. The AL East was an absolute bloodbath at the time. Those were 4 of the league's top 8 offensive teams by OPS. He was also 13-3 with a 2.27 in 19 games. That represented 62% of his innings against teams that finished 500 or better. Verlander, by comparison, was quote unquote only 8-4 with a 2.63 in similar matchups. So David Price's argument is simultaneously both more nuanced in the sense that you kind of have to dig around to who some of his opponents were, and less nuanced because it's also like, well, he won 20 games. So at the end, I kind of take a, kind of like a medical professions maxim on this when I say that, I don't want to do no harm first, right? Like, don't take away a Cy Young unless you're 100% sure. And while if I absolutely had to do it, I would give it to Justin Verlander. I'm going to give it to Justin Verlander.
Wow.
I'm taking David Price's Cy Young away.
Wow.
I feel like I was getting too soft there. That I was, about to get, let's not ruffle any feathers. I'm coming back. David Price, I'm sorry. You were a great pitcher in your time. Justin Verlander deserves the 2012 Cy Young. It would give him back-to-back Cy Youngs. He also won with an equally dominant season in 2011. It would give him a whopping 4 Cy Youngs in his career if he were to win it. And in this case...
Didn't you already give him one, too? Didn't you already take away...
I think you're right. I think I gave him one in 2016.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was an easy one, Porcello.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. So this would give him 5 in my
Did we
alternate
do
reality.
16, though? I know that that's like a no-brainer, take it away, give it to Verlander, but...
I think we did do that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
If we did 16, then yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the one that we did, because I'm trying to think of what other one would be his argument to get. Anyway, yep, Justin Verlander is now the 2012 AL Cy Young Award. He's now a 4 or 5-time Cy Young Award winner in the alternate reality. And ultimately, I just think that the case for David Price is a little bit too... you kind of have to try a little bit too hard to sell people on why David Price should be the winner when Justin Verlander faced way more batters, was way more dominant. And obviously his place in history is what it is. So any reactions?
I mean, it hurts because David Price is my guy.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me immediately think, what does that Red Sox contract look like if he doesn't have the Cy Young?
Yep.
I still think he ends up there. I still think that they pay for him just because they have the need at the time. And the season that he was coming off of between Detroit and Toronto and 15? 15. But that piece of hardware that adds some dollars when you're in the negotiating room. But yeah, I still think it would feel weird if David Price's legacy didn't also have the Cy Young. Like Verlander, I'm not saying you made. Yeah, I'm not saying you made the wrong call, but I don't know. I feel like, do I look at Price's career differently if he doesn't have at least one?
Man, it's interesting you say that, because I think you can go back and look at David Price's career and I'm not even convinced that was his best season. I don't think
it was.
Yeah. I'm looking, I know wins above replacement tells a different story, but I'm looking at his 2014 season where he had 271 strikeouts and fucking threw 30 more innings than he did this season. I know his ERA was higher, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm comfortable with David Price having been a guy who never won a Cy Young Award, but was a multi-time finalist, in 4 or 5 different seasons. He has his win. He has 2 runners up in 15 and 2010. Then he's got that 6th place finish. I don't know. I just, this season doesn't feel dominant on a level that necessarily should be taking a Cy Young away from Justin Verlander, when I feel like going back and looking at the black ink, for example, on the pages from this season, it's like, wait, why didn't Verlander win the Cy Young Award this season?
Yeah.
And I'm not a slave to wins above replacement. Obviously there's room for disagreement there. I disagreed with it to the extent that I did on the R.A. Dickey thing, but like there is a clear consensus with F4 and B-War that Verlander was better than David Price this season, and they're not even painting that it was necessarily all that close.
So then to my point, his legacy would feel like because it wasn't like his Cy Young year was an aberration. It wasn't a blip on the radar.
Nope.
So let's say you flip flop it, right? So a guy that has 3 Cy Young runner up finishes, you're kind of like, well, he's got to break through eventually. If he's knocking on the door and finishing second 3 different seasons, it would feel like if he finished his career like that, you'd be like, damn, like that sucks that he never got one. He was runner up 3 times. That's crazy. And even like, you know, the year that he finished sixth in 2014.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. It's like Zach Wheeler. Like,
I was just going to bring him up. That was exactly where I was going.
If Zach Wheeler doesn't win one, are we going to look back and appreciate his career the way that it should be appreciated?
Well, and Ryan never won one. He gets a lot of credit.
Yeah. But at least he's got the records.
Yeah.
And I would argue like we're getting to a point with Zach Wheeler where like his run of dominance or very great pitching it is extending beyond even what David Price did. Like, yeah, David Price has his Cy Young, so to your point, but like there were kind of gaps in some of those years where he got no votes or, you know, wasn't maybe quite as good. But like Zach Wheeler, assuming he's excellent this year, we're now going to be talking about like an 8-year run of years where like you could really make compelling arguments that he should have been first, second, third, or fourth in the Cy Young every single fucking season of that run. And that's not to take away anything from what David Price did. I'm not reimagining David Price's career, but like, you know, it is kind of a Zach Wheeler situation. And I do feel like it is going to feel weird if Zach Wheeler does this whole stretch without winning a Cy Young, but simultaneously not necessarily an injustice that he didn't, because I think if you go back year by year and look at Zach Wheeler's place in those seasons, there aren't examples of him being egregiously ripped off for the Cy Young. There are years where like, oh, he was the second or third best pitcher. So like, you know, he properly finished, you know, oh, he should have finished second or third, but he finished fourth or fifth or whatever. Or it was, he could have won, but Corbin Burns won instead. And it's hard to get like truly outrageously mad at that. Like, I feel like we're going to have the ability to appreciate Zach Wheeler's career even without the hardware if he doesn't get it, because we're recognizing in the moment that he should kind of have one, just kind of like an honorary. They give those Oscars, like the Lifetime Achievement Oscars or whatever. It's almost like he should have a Lifetime Achievement Cy Young. If that makes people feel better, I guess. Right.
I suppose. Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly like the Schilling thing where it's like you've been a Cy Young worthy pitcher and never won one because of Randy Johnson was just like there the whole time. I feel like it's been a different somebody that was in the way of Zach Wheeler's Cy Young, but nevertheless, to the point about David Price, if he didn't have this one, I would look at his career differently. And I think we've talked about Zach Wheeler as being Cy Young worthy and arguably the best pitcher of his generation without having one. And I think I mentioned the Garrett Cole interview that he did on Corey Kluber's podcast.
Yep.
And he was directly asked, you know, like you had to at least want the one, because how are you going to be highest paid pitcher and arguably the best pitcher of your generation and not have a Cy Young to show for it? Of course you want the one, and Zach Wheeler's got to feel the same.
Agree. No, I'm sure he does. No question. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it would have felt totally weird if Garrett Cole had not gotten one in a way that I just can't get there mentally for David Price or Zach Wheeler, I guess. Like I just always thought there was a stretch of time where I really legitimately thought of Cole as the best pitcher in baseball. Or at least having a really, really, really compelling argument for that. And I've never really truly felt that way about Zach Wheeler or David Price.
Yeah. Yep. Also, an update from the start of the show, Jake. Bradford just tweeted just talked to Giolito after he finished throwing, and he said he felt, quote, 100% fine.
A great
I'd
update.
like to hear. Yeah, we'd like to hear. We like to hear that.
That's what you usually do. If you're 100%, you say, I'm going to IL. Normal.
It's called
A lot of
precautionary, Joe.
Yeah. I'm feeling 100%. Nothing's wrong. Well, let's just be safe. I mean, I could see being 99% and like, let's be safe, but 100%. Kind of like they should just put him on the IL at the start of the spring.
Don't worry about it, Joe. Worry about your fat ass center fielder.
Well, come May, we'll have a 110% Lucas Giolito.
Yep.
And it's going to be, I mean, Fenway is just going to be shit and fucking.
Have you been with Fenway before?
No, I haven't been yet.
Oh, brother. All right, let's do that. Let's do that this year.
I would love to go to Fenway Park.
The Braves come here?
You better hope not.
Shit, that's
Better
a
hope
threat.
not.
Is that a threat, brother?
Because we're putting holes in that monster. Over there. It
Damn.
might break the stadium.
The Ozuna from the Braves really do be hitting bombs here, though.
I'm saying, man, that was our park originally, Boston Braves.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
We're coming back to reclaim our territory.
That's right. All right. I'm going to piss my pants. I had a big coffee this morning.
Nice.
Justin Haven's final thoughts?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure now. Yeah, final thoughts. I will say my final thoughts are I thought that was pretty funny that Juan Soto, there was that fan that was heckling him, and then Juan Soto looked at him and then subsequently hit a home run, and the guy toppled over and couldn't catch the ball. That's my final thought.
I like that. Joseph, final thoughts?
Nope, we'll see you at Fenway.
Wow. Jake's takes?
Go have a great piss, Jared.
I'm going to piss the shit out of this piss. I
gotta
can't
piss
wait.
too.
All right, we'll be back on Monday with Dallas and Joseph. We'll see you then.
We go.